Hello, hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark, and I'm back again with another video. We are continuing the What I Hate About Your Star Sign series. This one is going to be Virgo. So, let us begin. I will preface this by being honest and saying Virgo lands in my 12th house. And so, while I have had many Virgo friends, there's been a lot of misunderstandings because of that. A lot of secrets, a lot of lies, a lot of projection. And so, yeah, Virgo hasn't always been one of my favorite signs. But I also understand that there's a difference between evolved and unevolved Virgos. I think I'm looking forward to one day, personally, not archetypally, meeting an evolved Virgo where I can go, okay, we can work together, because I admire a lot of Virgoan traits. I do have Mercury in Virgo myself. And so if you do admire some of the ways that I talk or some of the precision that I have, it does come from that Virgo placement. And so there's a lot of things that I do care about when it comes to Virgo. This is probably the longest preface I've done so far because I don't know how this is going to land. Okay, cool. So, Virgo, sixth sign of the zodiac, ruled by Mercury. What other things that I hate about Virgo? I don't like the level of body conscious that Virgos have. Both the men and the women are very hypercritical of people's looks, whether that's their physical body, whether that's how they put themselves together. Virgos have too many thoughts and opinions about other people and how they put their bodies together or how they hold themselves in their bodies. And this could have to do with their past, it could have to do with their family. A lot of Virgos have interesting relationships with their mums, kind of almost similar to Cancer. It's obviously super dependent on the individual, but sometimes it's inherited from the mom picking on the Virgo as they grow up and making comments and being overbearing. And then it kind of leads into Virgos having a bad relationship with the body. And I find Virgos sometimes really struggle with projection. That's just my personal view. Is sometimes if they're uncomfortable with something, so say they're uncomfortable with their own bodies, instead they focus on everyone else's body, because what they're doing is not looking at the source of the issue, which is the fact that they have a personal problem. Virgos, yeah, the opinionatedness of Virgos is a little bit grating, even as an air sign, because I value Virgos, or we value Virgos as air signs, because they are like probably one of the more intellectual of the earth signs. They are people that you could have really beautiful discussions with. If they're into a topic, they get really into it. And so if you're someone who likes depth in conversation, Virgos are the right person to speak to, because once they have an interest, they really take that seriously. But Virgos like to complain by nature. I've had male Virgo friends, I've had female Virgo friends. To them, it's almost like an art form when you've become friends with them. They take a lot of pride. It's the wind beneath their sails. They feel like my opinion is the most sophisticated one. My opinion is the most educated one. I put so much effort into looking immaculate. Both the men and the women do it. Okay, I put so much effort into being immaculate to hide a lot of my things, my fear, my self-loathing, my perfectionism, my control issues, my inability to be comfortable with myself, my inability to stop comparing myself to other people, and it becomes a source of their personality. They get a lot of pleasure for being known as this person who's super discerning. I've got really high standards. I will only have women who look like this. If they don't look like that, I'm not having it. And they think it sounds attractive when they do that. Side note, There's nothing less attractive to me in a man than a man with too many opinions about other women. A man with opinions about how a woman dresses, how women do this, how women do their hobbies. Like men who have too many opinions about what women should or shouldn't be doing, I just find that to be an ick. Like, why are you not worrying about yourself? All the issues that men have, I'm not trying to be rude, but like all the issues men have with like, let's not even get into it, but like the high suicide rates and stuff, you've chosen to make your personality being like a critique. Like, I feel like Virgos, men and women, kind of feel like they're like a movie critic. So I don't know why I said critique, but like a movie critic or something. Like they feel like, it's their place to sit and give you a dissertation as to where your faults are. They are easy fault finders. Um, Insecurity in Virgos can be really, really big, and it comes from this pressure that they've placed upon themselves to be perfect, right? So the women are projecting innocence. Sometimes they try to run away from that good girl image too. It doesn't really quite work. I can tell you my theory on why that is in a second. And then the men, they project this gentlemanly thing that they've got going on. Sometimes people think Virgo men, they misrepresent their sexuality because they can be metrosexual. A lot of them are. And so people can misunderstand them. And then, depending on the Virgo, the way that they talk, the way that they care about things, the way that they clean and whatever, people can really associate femininity with them, which is not a wrong thing to do because Virgo is inherently a feminine sign. But in general, with water sign and earth sign men, where their sun sign is something that is considered feminine, I can find those particular traits to be grating, even though I actually like effeminate men. Um, Sometimes like the way that I butt heads with men like Taurians or Virgoans is because it's like, how do I explain it? The ways that they like express their opinions can just be really irritating. Like, on one hand, say it's a Virgo man, talking to a Virgo man can be like talking to one of the girls because, they clock everything. They clock all the minute things that are happening in the moment. So you can really dissect something to its ultimate. But when you see them in other aspects of life, it's giving like, why don't you relax? Why don't you just let yourself be? Why do you have to have a 50-page checklist on what a woman needs to do to show up as a woman for you? Like Virgo men are the epitome of men with a Madonna whore complex. They want you to project femininity, virginity, all of these sorts of things. They are put off by overtly sexual behavior. But that's not because they're not sexual beings. They are actually they can be very kinky, very dirty, very like fantasy driven. There can be like all these things going on for them. Um Sorry, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so they can be like very fantasy driven, and like they can really want, once you get to the bedroom with them, they can really want you to let go, and they can really want to explore and test the limits of what can be done within the bedroom. I just find it weird how much, especially the men, judge women that have a more overt sexual nature when it's really what the Virgo man wants underneath it all anyway. A Virgo man wants to be unraveled, but they struggle with control. So they struggle with letting someone unravel them. They both want to be unraveled, but maintain their foot on the pedal of control at the same time. And it's just like really, really weird. Um, Negative, like unevolved traits of Virgo women. Being mutable can be a problem for all mutable signs. This inability to kind of take a real stand on things. Virgo people can be very opinionated about certain things, but there's a people pleasing nature to Virgos. They want to serve, they want to be liked. They don't may depending on the Virgo, they may not necessarily want to be the center of attention, but they still want to be popular. They don't want to be overlooked. And I think sometimes Virgo women really judge themselves on the expression of other women because they're not the loudest women in the zodiac. They can be muted. It can take someone having the same frequency or giving them a chance to like really watch them unfurl. And they have a lot of hang-ups. They have a lot of rules. They want you to kind of jump certain hoops, um, before you can really be let in. And so they find themselves judging themselves against other women. And that can and has been a problem for me with relationships with Virgo women. Another thing that I detest in Virgo women, I find Virgo women personally to be the more pick-me's of the zodiac because of this love of service. So it's multiple things for me. Virgos have a love of service. Virgos are sometimes like starved or feel like they're starved of attention because they may have been overlooked in like certain periods of their life. Um, where men are concerned, like that is probably the biggest weakness for a Virgo woman. I mean, for example, Beyonce is a Virgo woman, and that's an example, right? Like Virgos don't want they want a relationship that's sturdy and like lasts the tests of time, and they can really struggle with holding men to task. It will come eventually, and sometimes it comes after like a long period of time and tallying, and once their soul really feels like, oh my god, I gave you my everything. I almost tore my own heart out of my chest and fed it to you on a silver platter, and you still have problems. You're still not pouring into my cup. Eventually it can get to them. But they also have the ability of staying in the most abusive uh situations that are really a disadvantage to them. And it can be really hard when you're someone like me whose sun sign is a masculine sign, because while people are like, oh my god, Librans are also people pleasers. That's correct. And Libra is next. And I have some things to say, even as a Libra. Um, but the masculine sun sign in me makes it so that I don't fear standing up to men and meeting them at their level. I see men as my peer intellectually, relationally, and so I kind of approach it as such. Whereas Virgo women, being mutable earth signs, can be very passive, and they care about submission. They like traditional gender roles to an extent. And so sometimes when they're alone and they're single, Virgos are the most badass bitches. I love me a single Virgo woman, okay, who's minding her own business, climbing the ladder, has her multiple hobbies, because Virgos are as intelligent as they are artistic, okay? Love that. But sometimes witnessing the transition from an independent Virgo woman to a Virgo woman in a relationship can be quite the jump. And it can, I know some people don't realize that like your friends can be really like really deeply affected by what you do in your own life, even if it's not like, like I might have a friend who's a Virgo, and maybe I don't really interact with her man, but all she does is talk to me about him. People think that like doesn't like have any deeper side effects. But as someone whose 11th house ruled, my chart rule is in the 11th house, and I have a lot of 11th house energy. My friendships need to feel safe in like more ways than one. And watching people get into situations that are really like awkward, or where they start devaluing themselves, has an effect on me, because I then like get into my rescue mode. I kind of want to save you, because I'm like, are you okay? Is everything That's a personal thing. But yeah, Virgos in relationships can be very acquiescing, which is really lovely for certain types of men. you know. Obviously this is not for all Virgos. That's just the series. I'm sorry if you're gonna get upset. What else? I think those are honestly the main things that I would say off the top of my head. That's what gets my goat about Virgos. I don't always find them actually. Yes, let me end on this. I find Virgo men and women to lie pretty easily because they like to have their compartments. They're so married to their self image that they only like, they might have different groups of friends, colleagues, uni mates that never interact by design so that everyone in each sector maintains whatever view that you have of the Virgo. Um, yeah, I had an ex Virgo girlfriend just lie to me about her upbringing and the reason things happened, and then over time, because I'm a little air sign, I start marrying up the information and being like, this doesn't make any sense. And I haven't had it happen with one Virgo, that's why I'm mentioning it. Um, yeah, just like a want to curate your image so much that you lose integrity. When they're climbing the ladder, they care so much about climbing the ladder, they don't care sometimes who they're stepping over. They're the type to be like, if I'm pleasing my boss, I don't care. And it's like, as a Libra specifically, it's like, yeah, but like, what about integrity? What about the truth? What about standing up for the people that you're representing below you? That's the kind of issues that I have with Virgos, is like sometimes a lack of integrity with Virgo men. Okay, I said I was going to end it then, but I have another one. I knew this would be my longest one. That's why I had a long preface. Virgo men and their disappearing acts. I see you. I'm all over it. I'm clocking you. Okay. Virgo men get overwhelmed maybe with trying to keep up with the image that they've curated with you. So you start talking to a Virgo man and you're like, oh my God, it's going so well. And what a gentleman. He dresses so well and he's so articulate and he understands women to like a crazy extent. He seems to know how to respond to my moods. And oh my God, he's fantastic with his hands. And then all of a sudden literally drops off the face of the planet. Either you're blocked, either they just leave. This can happen at any stage. You could have just married a Virgo. You could be just engaged to a Virgo, okay? All of a sudden they just leave. And they want to be able to pop up whenever they feel like they've sorted whatever it is that they're going through and be like, hey, I've come back. And like that's supposed to be okay. Nah. Rebuked. Not around here, partner, okay? Anyway, that's me. I have had a long day. I need to have dinner. I thought I'd just chuck this out there just to show you guys I'm committed to coming back and putting out videos as quickly as I reasonably can while I am recovering from my injury and trying to prepare myself to return to work. But if you've enjoyed this, if you've agreed, if you've disagreed, like it anyway, comment down below. This is community building. It's not just you watching me. Talk to me back. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.